All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back for another fabulous Tuesday at the Acti Game Events. And today we are going to be Live and Frank. And I think Live is Live is on top there. He's in from a very quick slide in to take cover over Isabella, who's unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, we are happy she's stuck in a meeting. And then we have, of course, our expert guest, Frankie,
You?
here. Again, super excited to see you back here on the event so soon, Frank.
Always happy to be
Yeah.
there.
All right. Well, so as you see here, these are our players, and if you imagine Isabella's nice little bubble being live instead, then we are all updated. Um, Frank, do you want to do a quick talk about who you are and Transformotion and why you have an interest in being in these events?
Yeah. So I'm Frank from Transformotion, as Ida said. And actually, we've had quite some history with Acti. So I got certified in Acti, I think it was 2011 or 12. Life, you know better than I do. So a while ago. And I loved it from the first hour I saw it, really, from the first second, I would say. Because I immediately saw how games can contribute to learning and development, and how it's fun, and how people can experience things in a safe environment that they actually need as a professional competency. And that's why we love to use it in our programs. What do we do? Transformation stands for organizational development, leadership development, change management. So we get organizations and companies through difficult phases in their own development. So that's where we support.
All right, thank you so much, Frank. So you've been here basically for as long as life, I want to say. Been one of the real OGs.
I think Life
Yeah,
started the thing 2 weeks before or so. No.
I almost,
Close
Frank,
enough.
almost. But Frank, you have been here for a long, long time. You've been part of all the transformations that we have made, or transformations that we have made here at Acti. You discovered them all from the very beginning as a very small company here in Roskilde, and today as a global company with a lot of activities around the world. I have this screen up here where I am in where I can see where people are logging on every day and from where in the world. And you've been part of that journey from very small to becoming a lot bigger and a lot more activated. So I really enjoy seeing you again, Frank. And we just saw each other in Hamburg a couple of days ago. So nice seeing you again.
And next week in Würzburg.
Yeah, exactly. With a client. Yeah, it's nice that you
Yeah.
have a client and I've been invited to come and talk about learning, which is my core thing. I don't get to facilitate games anymore, as you know, Frank. So
Yeah, and it's
Well,
funny
let's
actually that you stumbled across the word transformation, transformotion. For me, it's sometimes hard to pronounce transformation. Now that we say so, transformotion so often.
yeah, I guess transformation is an active thing, and transformation is like a thing in the past.
I never thought about it that way,
yeah,
but I'll have to
or
think
like
about it.
happening to you, transformation, whereas a
Yeah,
transformotion where you are motioning something.
yeah,
But let's hope that you two competing today is not gonna put on some bad vibes for your next meeting with a client. Then
yeah,
let's try
exactly.
to keep it civil.
It's a different game. I'm not afraid of that.
All right, good. Okay, Frank, thank you for the introduction. Live, do you want to say a word or two about yourself?
I am live. I'm the CEO of Acti and founder of Acti, and I'm primarily spending my time with people who is using our tool, and not in a facilitated service, but more as a developing thing. I am enjoying building cool tools on the platform, and I'm really enjoying all the new things that we're doing. So, and I spent my entire life thinking about Acti. When I wake up in the morning, or even when I sometimes wake up during the night, I think about Acti. Acti is my entire life, and I really enjoy it. So I'm always, and I'm really glad and honored by us being able to foster relationships to partners as you, Frank, for that many years. It's a privilege to be able to work with the same people for this long. So I guess that's enough about me.
It always requires two sides.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
All right, so that was the team, and I'm Ida, and I will be facilitating the game of the day. See if I can keep track of these two very competitive fellas that we are dealing with. And for everybody who's joined in online, if you like, you can just message in the chat, say hi, where you're from, how the weather is where you're at. Because at us, it's basically changing every 10 minutes, which is not so nice. Now it's really autumn. All right, and while you guys do that, I will just swiftly move on to the agenda, which is very much like the rest of our agendas if you've been part of our events before. So first we're doing a little bit about Acti, then we're doing a little bit about the game that we're actually going to play before you guys get the link and you are allowed to play it through yourself, and we will watch up on the screen here, we will watch Frank and Leif battle it out between themselves. And then we will take a look afterwards at the host view and how this can kind of be a transferred learning tool and so on. So let's just get to the actual game part where we are excited to be. Oh, no, sorry, that is way too soon. First, we need to do Leif's favorite slide, which is our slide that we're using at, I think, every single event, talk, pitch we do about Acti. This slide is included. Do you want to do the honors, Leif?
I love that slide because it's telling the story about where Frank and I in our collaboration around Acti and Transformotion is actually coming from. We come from 20. I come from 20 years of history in building games and supporting games in different types of formats, and I've been used to being a consultant, and we skipped that as a company in 2018 and become purely an IT software company developing cool tools for consultant firms that are using our tools all around the world. And now today we have 2,500 who's certified around the world, and I'm super proud about that. There are 150 games. I can see we need to correct that number because that's getting old. 120, we exceeded that long time ago. And theory, since any of our games are played with background in theory, and that means that every time somebody is creating a game, and there are 400 of those per year, and they are adding a theory, and that theory can then be reused in other games too. And there are plus 60 of those now on the platform. It's quite interesting to see how that is growing also as people are really picking up on building games. And then the last thing I need to say is the blue color behind is where people are logging in from. This is the last month. It's not the last month, but it's a month that we just took a couple of months back. So you can see that the whole world is joining and using our games. And we can also see from the chat that we have a lot of people from Africa also joining in, from Ethiopia, Uganda, and so on, Nigeria. So welcome to everyone around the world. You are part of a larger audience. So great to have you here.
Thank you, Leif. All right. So as Leif said, we have so many games and theories that we are covering, which means, of course, we are also addressing a large variety of pains. Very rarely you can separate these pains from each other. At least normally they will group together in some way, and that's kind of the beautiful complexity of working with Acti, is that you can never really separate just one issue because everything is interconnected. And what has come a little bit of my favorite question to this slide is actually, Frank, do you have a favorite pain? And it sounds weird because like a pain is not a good thing, but maybe a subject you find the most intriguing to work with.
Well, actually, you gave the answer. As many of those pain points are interconnected, there can't be a favorite one, because when you touch one, you touch a couple of others as well. But let's see what we are most often coming across. That's definitely probably change management at the top, leadership development, conflict management, And then these, well, I call them micro competencies, like giving feedback, delegating. But for all those things, you need the pain points. You need to approach the pain points that are on this list here. And I didn't mention, for instance, leadership styles and emotional intelligence. It comes to my mind.
Let's. I really want to say more on that later, or like swift transformation into the next. No, but that's at
Actually,
least
what's on your list is too small for me to read.
Oh, sorry. We will make it bigger for next time you join, Frank.
I have an idea, of course, what's on there. Yeah, and change can mean so much. I mean, change can mean introduction of implementation of systems and processes. It can mean culture change. It can mean anything.
Exactly.
And then change is rarely happening isolated in one of those little boxes. It's all interconnected, as you say.
Yeah,
when you have
and
change, you will find that it changes your structure and your systems and your competencies and everything.
Definitely. And we are going to be looking at some of these pains, if not briefly touching most of them in the game we will be playing a little later on. Do you have a favorite pain life, or you just love all of these things so much that you cannot even begin to choose just one? Ooh, sorry, there you go. Ooh, sorry, Live. I think there is something with your sound connection. Okay, right. We are having some
one in his finger.
Live's yeah. Well, he is just quickly looking into the.
Yeah.
There we go. Now there was a sound. Live, you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you. Can you hear me now?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was about to say. My biggest pain is technology sometimes, right? I could see that my microphone was not on my headset, but on the computer. It must have been very noisy for people. So, and I was trying to shift it, but I think the biggest pain I experienced, to be honest, and I think what also the world is experiencing is actually implementing new IT systems. And that goes into these small details as changing your mic on your headset or having the right microphone added onto your PC and all of those things. I read an article, it's 60% of all changes in the world are IT system related. Isn't that like crazy?
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, and people are still referring to bigger IT changes even years after they have happened because they are still remembering how good it was when the old system was there and so on. It's a huge thing, and it will continuously being a huge thing. So that, I guess that's my biggest pain. Change and IT in a sweet combination. That's my favorite pain.
And just think, a few years back when Corona was there, I mean, video conferences were there before, but no one used them. And all of a sudden, we were all forced to use them. And along with that came leadership challenges like, well, please switch on your camera, and I can't see you, I can't hear you, how to use your mic, and so on. So it shows how complex things are.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
And we all remember, or most of us remember, Corona when that hit. I remember being an IT company selling a software that was meant to be online. I can tell you that the most spoke out sentences about our stuff was basically, we like to be in the room together, we will never play online, because we did not know of Teams and Zoom and all of that at that time. It was like very fancy if somebody was inviting you in for a meeting online. But Corona took, I don't know, 5-10 years off that development IT wise. That was amazing to see that. If you can say something was amazing about
that's only video conferences. Now think of, I don't know, SAP in the cloud or something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good.
And I think that brings us perfectly onto the next slide here, which is quickly touching base on the different learning spaces you can actually utilize Acti. We talked about how, yeah, of course, before Corona, everybody was doing it physically. During Corona, everybody was doing it digitally, and now actually what we're seeing is a combination of the two. That it's very rare that someone is solely doing it digitally or solely doing it physically. That there's actually some kind of synergy between the two that makes the product kind of rise above each individual way of doing it. Do you have some experience with that, Frank? Do you do both?
Actually, when I met live last week, we talked about it. I think there was a real game changer. A funny word in this context, game changer, right? I remember a partner meeting in December, just before Corona started. And one of the fellow consultants actually said to the others, I'm doing it online, only online. And everyone said, well, how? You need the physical floorboard for it. No, I don't. And just a few months after that, everyone was forced to work online only. That works just as well. I mean, yes, there are differences, of course, between a physical meeting and a pure online meeting. But in terms of the learning opportunity, it's absolutely the same, and you can do it. And of course, video conferencing technology helps us here. We can have breakout rooms, we can do group works, syndicates, and so on. That's all nice. But it only took 3 months in this instance back then for us to catch up, and that was amazing. When I'm being asked whether I want to work offline or online, to be honest, also when we were only doing physical meetings, there was always an online component because the game itself is online. Yeah, so it's online anyway, but then it's supported either by a physical floorboard in a physical room with real people, or there is a substitute for that, and that can be online as well. And that's of course fantastic for say global companies who need to cover a lot of geography in a relatively short time.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. That was a perfect explanation. All right, so let's move in a more directed path now to the game that you guys are actually going to be competing in a minute. And I'm not going to discuss too much about the game and the theories, because I would love to dive into that in the chapters about the two theories that we have at play here. But very briefly, we are playing the game called Mastering Leadership, which is where you are an experienced leader who is stepping into a new department tasked with rebuilding a struggling team after poor financial results and low morale. So basically, you have to fix the results, but you also have to deal with the team. So you have these two elements again that we normally have in the Barometer game. And it will look a little bit like this. When you get to the game, you are basically monitoring this barometer that your people are moving in the red, yellow, or green section. And it's all depending on these two goals that you are keeping top of mind, which is the results and it is being a good leader. And each choice you make will determine how you are working towards these two goals. So hopefully that will make sense in a minute when you get in. There are two theories at play, as I mentioned, but I would love to dive into this once we're playing the game. But just keeping in mind that it is the 6 leadership styles, and then it's also the emotional intelligence competencies. All right, but I think let's get you guys going. I think Live and Frank, you have the link for the game. So if I could just get you to start making the first chapter choices, and I will quickly explain to the viewers how they get in. So if the link is being sent in the chat any second now, and while you are waiting for that link, when
it's
you
added
get it,
it's added into the chat, but maybe we should
it
just
is.
say that if you are on the mobile phone, you should basically just, or you are going to say that. Sorry, Ida, you go on. I'll log in.
No worries, Live. So if you are on the computer, you click the link and you will end up in a page like what you're seeing on my screen. This is the guest login. So what you do is you just add a name, choose a position, which is not so important in this context, and then you click play game. There we go. And then you are actually in where the game is able to be started. And I'm going to skip the tutorial here. What you're going to arrive at first is a bunch of information about the story, the context of these decisions you have to make. And there's also a video. If you're not into reading, you can just watch the video, enjoy, sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. But anyway, as I mentioned, the situation is that you have these two goals that you need to take care of. You need to fix the results and you need to be a good leader. And basically how that happens is that you get a dilemma, and then you have to basically choose from the 6 different statements what you are going to do. There we go. And you simply click choose once you have made a decision. You will then receive some result text about what was positive, what was negative about your choice, and then you can actually see here on the barometer how you are, one, moving your people around, but also how you are working towards your 2 goals. And once you're ready again, you click continue. To give you an even better advantage, it's a little bit more time costly, but it is worth it, is to click in on your stakeholders, where you can actually get to know them pretty well and see how they are reacting in the different chapters. And this will be a huge help for when you're trying to make the next choice. All right, I think that's all you need to know in order to get going. And while you play, I will open up for the host view here, where I can track everybody who's in this session. And as we see now, I at least see Frank here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see Life the Dancer.
So I'm well within the green area. Where are you, Live?
You must have made more decisions than me, right, Frank?
Could be.
I think you have made.
Here we go.
You have made. You are in the end.
All right. So here we go. This is the first answer you guys made, and it does look like you're a little bit behind Life. I am sorry to say, but
I don't understand that.
The barometer does not lie.
It's a bug. It's a bug in the system.
It must be a bug in the system.
Yeah.
So
what choice?
I see, Frank, you chose common strategy here.
Yeah.
Do you have a reason for having chosen this one?
Well, it was most appealing for me. I wanted to give something common to them at the very beginning of this, me taking on the new role. I wanted to emphasize that we are in the boat together. So that's why.
All right. I think that sounds legit. I would probably want to do the same. What did you choose, Life? New direction.
Yeah, exactly. I got intrigued by assembling everyone and saying, this is what I see we need to do, and this is like a collective meetings. But it might have been a little bit premature. That was my reflections. Is that a little bit too early? So, apparently it was a little bit. I think, Frank, how many points did you get in the first one?
I don't know.
23.
23.
And how many did I get?
34.
Okay.
That can't be right.
That's the bug.
No, that's correct. It's just because Frank actually moved people more than I did, but I got more on results and on me being perceived as a leader.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think that's interesting because there are 2 parameters behind the bar. Yeah, so it's, as you pointed out, Ida, it is results and it is being a good leader, whatever that means. Yeah. I mean, it's a climate effect. It's a good climate, creating a good climate.
Yeah, if
the 1 pointer on the barometer is actually just a combination of both.
Yeah. Okay, and here we can see how you are actually very close to each other, at least on the leader part.
I don't think we are at all close to each other either in the first step. I think we are there is a huge difference between the points I got and the points Frank got. Can we get a sound, please?
Sure, Live. Would you like to choose the sound yourself, or do I get to do that?
You get to choose a sound for me, please.
Okay.
No. Frank. No. Okay. Right. But my idea was actually to create a common shared idea about what will happen with me as the one who's going to drive us forward. That was my initial thought. But maybe click off Frank, and then maybe we can just click on one of the person, because Frank mentioned the climate barometers, and if you click on the persons there on the screen on the board, we then get down to let's take a look at Bea as an example. She says to us, we must turn focus to something else. So she's quite unsatisfied. She's in the red area, and if we then slide a little bit down, we can then see how she's actually feeling on the climate barometers, and that's because Goleman has this concept of each of the 6 leadership styles are impacting the 6 organizational climate that he developed with Hay Group back in the days, and now owned by Korn Ferry. But the idea here is that you have a leadership style that will impact flexibility in the organization, responsibility towards your task, the standards, which is connected to the quality of the works that we do, and how you feel rewarded, or we as a team feel rewarded, how clarity is, how clear is it to me what I'm supposed to achieve, and how engaged am I as a person. And here we can see that Bea is actually, she doesn't have the clarity. She is red on flexibility. She doesn't feel that she should give anything. She feels responsible. She has her quality high. She feels rewarded, but she's disengaged. So that is like a way to make a deeper analysis of each of the person that we have in the game. And that's also the connection between the 6 leadership style, the options that we can make. But I did not have the complexity in my mind when I made my choice, just to make that totally clear. I was just making it out of my guts, to be honest. But
And
I guess Frank, as a consultant, would probably ask me questions into this.
I just was about to do that, yeah. That is, of course, interesting, because many leaders in seminars or courses would probably say, well, it's a gut feeling, that's just how I do it anyway. Yeah. And then you can go deeper and say, okay, well, what's behind your gut feeling? What are the strengths that you already have? Where are blind spots that you can still better develop?
Yeah. Yeah, I would also argue now that let's say if you slide a little bit up, Ida, because I was kind of thinking, okay, so if we go back to the game board and we see where people are, I might be intrigued by the one that is far behind or most in front, and then think, okay, so what are their climate barometers if I should be strategically thinking? So how are they doing on the climate barometers, and how should I then reuse that to make my next choice? So yeah, let's have a look at Hannah.
So and Hannah was in front, right?
I can't remember actually.
Let me check.
Was it Hannah? Yeah, that's annoying. We can't see that.
Oh no, it was Martha is in front. Sorry.
Okay.
So if we look at Martha's barometers here.
Yes, she actually has a compromise on responsibility, but quite okay on the rest of the 6 climate barometers. So we should probably think about a choice which has a positive impact on 5 of 6, which is quite high. Wouldn't you say, Frank?
Yeah, and this is what I meant. You want to take more conscious decisions, of course, and you have to balance that. If you now focus on who was it, Martha?
Yeah.
You might want to take into account the others as well, or you just neglect them. So we will see what happens if you focus on one person only. It's always a balance, of course.
Yeah. But I remember, like, I also think now we have this concept in the game. So if I go back to my choices now, I remember that the ones that are negative towards the climate barometer is the pay setting and the commanding style. Those 2 options are having a negative impact on the climate barometers, but we have this little obstacle of the result of the business and the be perceived as leader, which also counts every time it moves 1. So there can be a compromise to the climate barometers in order to achieve higher points. Okay.
All right. So now that both of you made your first choices here, do you already now have a sort of strategic plan or of what you want to do next in this process, or are you just gonna see what happens? Or Frank, you've already moved on. Did you just see what happened?
I didn't look at the stakeholders as we just did, so I had no idea what they were individually thinking. But my plan was I wanted to give them the why, the big picture, and that's why I chose create meaning next.
All right, let me just.
I think.
Leif, will you move on to the next part?
Yeah,
Then we
now I
will
know that
just-
Frank has made create meeting. I will take something else. I think I will go with a clear message. I think I will go with something which is going to impact the business in the beginning, and then they're probably going to move even further back, and then I'll handle that afterwards. Ooh, Frank.
How did it
Ooh.
go live?
Damn.
Here we go. Okay, live. What did you do wrong?
Look at the business result. I'm just saying, look at the business result. I see there must be someone else also added to the board now.
Oh yeah.
Further down, maybe you just
Nope.
refresh again.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. There you are.
There we are.
Okay, so you definitely chose to focus on the results live.
I did. I really did. And I don't really know. I did it because I was thinking, okay, let me get some business result, and I did get perceived as a leader, but I got very less ratify the result as a leader, which is not that good. So I don't really know. Okay, I have to reverse my strategy, and I really lost some people. I can see that a lot of people is way behind now. They are really unsatisfied with me. Kim, as an example, is really unsatisfied with my choice.
Yeah, it looks
Maybe we
like
can see-
everybody.
Yeah, everybody moved back a little bit. That was too high a cost for me. What was your idea, Frank, in this?
Well, as I just said, now that people have moved, they want to probably understand why. So I wanted to give them sort of the bigger picture, and that's why create meaning made a lot of sense to me.
Definitely. It at least was a more successful strategy than live until this point. We never know what will happen in the next 2 chapters, or 3
Damn.
chapters.
What's the point on level 2 here? Where are we point wise, Frank and I? On step 2.
Where are you live? You are here.
Yeah.
So live, you are on 69.
Yeah.
And Frank is on 57.
So I'm actually higher.
Ooh.
That's
You
weird.
are point-wise higher.
Yeah.
People-wise, not so much.
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing what my board is telling me to do. That's my approach here.
All
I'm
right.
following the board. I'm doing what the board says. Okay, now comes the difficulties. But you already played through, right, Frank? So you already did the Kim thing.
Yeah.
So maybe you can explain something while I make
So
my first.
Yeah, well, Kim is a little troublemaker in this instance here, and so I wanted to understand what's wrong actually, and I asked him 2 questions: what happened, and what do you need now?
Yeah.
So I wanted to get to the bottom of it.
And in a situation like this, because you said earlier, it is of course a balance thing, making sure that the whole team is following the process, not just one single team member. But here in this dilemma, you are actually focusing on one singular person. What does that make of differences when you need to make your choice?
Well, I should have, of course, read what Kim is thinking, but I didn't. And when I was a facilitator in such a thing, I would clearly get to the bottom of that. What I would ask the participants, why didn't you look at him? Why didn't you try to understand the guy?
Yeah.
That makes a lot.
I was kind of thinking, okay, Kim is resisting. He's not feeling safe in this team. He's obviously creating a lot of problems. So I was kind of thinking, I need to go into. I was actually using Rick Mauer's resistant theory here and thinking, okay, I just need to understand him. That both of my choice needs to be targeting getting his viewpoint to make him feel comfortable. I'm not sure what type of question it was in terms of the Goldmans, but probably democratic or that would be my. What is needed? What do we need to do? Was like I was thinking, okay, we need him to tell us what's his viewpoint. What are we doing wrong here? That was my idea. And the second one was, what do we need to do? Similar approach. I was just going all in on that approach.
Yeah, so you were really actually wanting him to kind of bring some
Yeah.
kind of answers to the stage.
Yeah, to get, because it's all about him, not like in the change. But I could argue that I was also tempted by the fact, why do we spend time on Kim? Why do I spend both of my choices on one person, even though it is about him? Maybe I could also consider the rest of the team, but that was just me.
But what would have happened if let's say we didn't focus on Kim? Let's say we just let Kim talk all he wants on all of the halls and all of the offices as loud as he likes. What would then happen in our team?
Frank?
They would probably go into resistance, now that Leif mentioned the resistance model, because everyone would say, well, why is there only focus on him? What about us? So they might fall behind. And we've seen the climate parameters earlier, and maybe there are parameters where they would go backwards.
Yeah. Okay, so we do really need to focus on Kim.
I could also see, by taking these two choices, I was actually also able to move the rest of the team further. Mine was all in the red in my previous. Now they actually moved into the yellow, so I had also improved them quite a lot because even though you're working with one person out of a team, it's also, of course, influencing others in your team.
Yeah, it's not only whether you focus on one person or not, it's also whether there is a visible effect. And if it's a positive visible effect, then the others might move forward as well.
Yeah, exactly. So so that was my idea. Let us move into next.
Yes, please. And for the next chapter, we are actually focusing on, what did you call it, Leif? The biggest pain, which is system implementation. So we have change management, we have IT, we have the whole kerfuffle here that can get people kind of in a knot. And for me, I find that this is like this is the second last chapter in the game, and it is kind of you've just kind of had 4 calm months, and now you have to make this huge implementation of a system. And this is actually where I get really curious about the underlying theories, especially depending on the emotional intelligence here, about how do we use this the competencies here to kind of figure out how we best get through this process, which can be really hairy. And I was hoping, Frank, you would have some thoughts on this.
I have thoughts, but I'm not exactly sure whether they are right. What I wanted to do now is that far down the line of the process, I wanted to acknowledge their pain and try to ease their pain a bit. That's why I chose take care of employees, because it says I try to create a compromise in the restructuring process that accommodates the employees' needs and reduce the impact of the immediate restructuring and so on. I guess that the underlying competence is social awareness. So I need to be aware of what's giving them pain, what's causing them pain.
Yeah.
And well, that was the idea of that. And I guess that is maybe the affiliative style that's behind it. So understand people and being a people guy here in this instance.
And maybe it's worth to quickly mention that these two theories actually are interconnected. I don't know, Leif, if you want to make a quick brief statement about how they talk together.
Which ones?
Sorry, you were maybe in the middle of reading. I was talking about the sort of the synergies or the layers of using Daniel Goleman's 6 leadership styles along with the emotional intelligence competencies.
Yeah. So the 6 leadership styles is, if you imagine you as a leader are using the 6 leadership styles as a concept to understand your own leadership behavior or how you act towards a team, then in order to become aware of how do I as a leader react, both how do my emotions internally inside me react, and how do I come forward towards my team. Those are the two underlying like areas that Goleman also puts in. And in each of those, you have to work on different competences in order to become more of the 6 leadership styles. So you can't just say, okay, I want to be more commanding. You actually have to understand, to be more commanding, you have to understand, how do I be perceived? How are my team perceiving me when I'm commanding? And how does it do? How do I feel emotionally when I'm commanding? And those competencies are actually intertwined. So you need to know what competencies to work on to become more commanding or less commanding. And even to understand whether you are commanding, you actually need to know that prior to such a process. And some is good at it already, and some need to practice to understand themselves within a team or within connecting to other people within a workplace. So that's how they're connected. So the 6 leadership styles are requiring certain competences if you want to be better at something. But it also says something which is, I don't know if we've mentioned that, but you have to use all 6. So you can't just skip one and say, oh, no, I'm not commanding at all. You actually need to be commanding at least once a week. It doesn't say at least once a week, but it says that the most successful leaders are actually capable of using all 6 leadership styles within the same week. Because you are situational, placed in many situations during a week.
My favorite example here is, just imagine you are in the fire brigade and the house is on fire. So which is the leadership style you'll need? Well, it's commanding, of course, because there has to be someone in charge of who's doing what. But if you imagine next you are in the fire brigade and you're planning the next barbecue, then it's probably not the appropriate style. Then maybe a bit more democratic style would be appropriate.
So that's a really good example.
Yeah. It's not the role that dictates the style; it's the situation.
Yeah, that's a good way of good way of putting it. So,
what do you think that leaders out there, they are aware of these competences that they must pull and draw from in each style, or do you think that it's something they don't think so much about? It's just
in reality, I believe that
natural?
they don't think so much about it. If you're lucky, they have heard about the model and still act on their gut feeling. But it also shows that if you not only know such a theory, but apply it well, and you take conscious decisions, it's most often better decisions. And here is a tool that you can apply to learn and develop your competencies. It doesn't harm anyone if you lose here or if you are falling behind. In contrary, you learn something, you can reflect on it, and you can develop blind spots, which is great.
I think in everyday life, you probably walk around thinking that you do things with your gut, and if you are a seasonal leader, you then probably have your concept in place. You draw on experience and sense, and you also probably draw on some kind of leadership scaffold that you like to think about, which could be potentially 6 leadership styles. And sometimes it's really great to have that revisited to understand yourself, because I think also as you get more and more seasonal, you probably tend to become more or less of something, regardless of what position you have in the company, and reminding yourself that you can't be a mono type of leader. You actually have to master more than just a few leadership styles, if we think of it in that way, is important. But for a new leader, it's a very easy to understand concept and very helpful for new leaders to understand a new framework, because it's so easy to rely to the 6 styles and you understand the emotional or the impact it has on the climate and so on. So my comment on that would be that I think it depends on how seasonal the leader is and what type of work they are actually working, what type of environment are they functioning in. And also how interested are they in their own leadership. I mean, there's a lot of leaders out there who doesn't really pay attention to how they are, or it's not part of their vocabulary. But of course,
maybe for another analogy, if you're a Champions League football player, you can't just say, well, I just play on my gut feeling, I don't need any further training, I can play. No, you go to training every day and you train standards like corners and whatever, so much that you can take gut-based decisions during a game during the final when there are millions of spectators at the TV screens.
Good way of putting it. I think.
Absolutely. Oh. I am moving back to the game. Sorry. And I am going into chapter 4. You made your choice, Live. Let's just
I did.
make a status. You are still in the yellow, and we have Frank over here still in the green.
Oh, Frank, you moved on the people. I can see, but I actually did my last choice also, so you can update and get all my data
All right.
in now.
Are you ready
I
for
am.
whatever the results may be?
Yeah. Ooh. The question is whether Frank is ready.
Yeah.
All right, here we are. And it looks like there is actually a clear winner, both in the points and with the people. Unfortunately for you, Live. I'm sorry, but this is for Frank.
I gotta speak to someone. Damn. God damn.
All right.
But I think it makes a lot of sense to me that you actually win by having people also moved with you. That's also comply to my understanding of the world. So
now let's see what we chose.
Yeah. So here we have the theory of the underlying competencies first, where we can see Frank is the top bar here, and Live is the bottom bar here. And
maybe we should just explain that this theory is also having work competences as part of it, which is something that we being ACT added in. So it's not something that comes from Goleman, but what it says is.
It is the Goleman matrix. This is where he originally developed his 12 individual competencies from. So he says there is a matrix which is 2 by 2, and it starts with self-awareness, and only when you can be self-aware you can be socially aware. So social awareness is the other. That's what you mean with interpersonal awareness. And now if you go back to the start, only if you are self-aware you can do good self-management, and only when you can do both self-management and social awareness you can lead others. And then there are 2 extra boxes, that's awareness and professional knowledge. So that's where this, I guess, comes from. It can't be so much a coincidence that it's here.
Yeah, it is. The professional awareness is actually something we have added in to it. It's actually not from him, but of course it's a very strong connection to the 4 areas of his matrix. But he did not add the work-related competences in. We actually did that because we wanted to add it in as a part of your part of the work. So it's us adding something to his, and but it doesn't. I think it only contributes to the understanding between them.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we can see the difference between the 2 of us is that I can't read the details there.
There is one box I didn't draw from. You've got 6 bars and I've got only 5 bars, so I must have a blind spot somewhere.
That is the intrapersonal competence, self-control, that you are missing, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Just see the winning, when he was winning. Did you see the outburst of? Yeah, exactly. No, I think what it does say something is that that the interpersonal competence has been used quite a lot, which is also and it makes sense to me that I've been using the professional knowledge a lot, because I was actually focused on result. I was trying to get that, but maybe we should see the other one, the 6 leadership styles.
Actually, before we do that, so you said with the 6 leadership styles, you should preferably touch upon one let's say every week. You should touch upon all of them sort of within the setting. What about these competencies? Is it the same sort of gist with you should preferably be using all of them all the time, or is it a little bit different in the sense?
I think there are underlying competencies. So that it's more like if you want to grow one of your leadership styles, you should know what competencies do you need to work on to grow your skills or work to grow your leadership style. So of course, if you are lacking one of the if you go to the other one, then if you're lacking one of the 6 leadership styles, then you should look at the competencies that you need to grow in order to be better at using that style.
So like, hey, who's the orange one here? That's Frank.
Mm-hmm.
It does not look like you are being particularly commanding or pace setting.
Yeah, which are the 2 dissonant styles that are, well, damaging climate rather than helping it. So I obviously left them out.
Yeah.
Oh, so there was an active choice not to choose those 2 leadership styles? No.
For such a conscious decision, I would have needed more time. But that's also a great learning, a great insight, because the more time you take to do conscious decisions, the better the result probably is. Gut feeling fast, conscious decisions take slightly longer.
And I also think if you have done that, Frank, you would probably have jeopardized the beautiful result you had with the people who was all up in the green, because their climate would have gone down on.
Yes.
It impacts negative on all 6 climate parameters if you take the commanding style as an example.
And yet, with the example of the fire brigade, when the house is on fire, you just need it. It's not that you can leave it out completely.
No. But to me, it's also interesting to see. I did not go for using all 6, but I've been taking them more than I thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just missing affiliative, actually, live.
Yeah, which is about
Yeah.
Sorry, say it again, Frank.
And affiliative is one of the 2 strongest in my case. Yeah. So completely different profiles. Very interesting.
Yeah. But I was trying to beat you, Frank, to be honest.
I know.
I was trying to beat you, and I did not succeed.
Do
we have some sad songs for live?
Sad songs for life.
Yeah, do we have a transition sound or something that could make me feel better of losing?
Is that about how you feel?
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel.
All right.
Yeah, I see that.
All right. So,
but maybe we should look. Can we see how others have played it? If you compare the leadership level, we might be on the right side. We might be able to see what have others who played this game. What did their profile look like?
What do you say? Employees?
Yeah, this is the employee level, and now you compare
and it's Frank.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and they are actually capable of taking all 6.
Yeah, but they are very democratic.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Can I change to a executive or a leader?
Yeah. Let's have a look at those. Oh,
hey Frank, you are very close to an executive.
Nice. You are. So that's also interesting, isn't it? I mean, so you can actually see the difference between your profile and some other group of people playing. You could also go in the session and see on the same level, but from a session perspective. But we don't have time to do that. But we could have.
And still, even that graph does not say it's the best thing you can do. It's just that's what people do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't come out with like an advice that you should be X, Z, and Y, but it's all up to you as a consultant. You know that, Frank, that's your job to actually give that advice to people who's in the middle of training skills.
All right. Well, we only have 5 minutes left. Unfortunately, the time is always of the essence when we have these events with guests. There's just too many things to talk about. But I would really like if you guys had some kind of closing comment or tip of the day or fun fact or whatever on this topic of using these 2 theories together. So both using the leadership style, but also using the underlying competencies. What is the real power here? How can organizations leverage this information?
Well, I think, and I hope that the game shows how you can work that in leadership development, how games can play an important role here, because you can't do real harm. You just take decisions in a safe environment and you learn from it. And when you go through this with let's say, a management team, I think one of the great strengths is you get a common terminology. So you get a common basis, and from that you can develop further, and you can work with reflection, then peer groups, working with coaching buddies. It's a great way to reflect and develop.
Yeah. So this sort of common jumping board of this is where we decide how we do it.
Absolutely. And when you really find, let's say, blind spots to develop for a certain group, then you can still put a development path at the end of it, and that can focus on, I don't know, giving feedback, listening, delegating more precisely, whatever it takes, whatever is required. You can build strength, you can close blind spots. Yeah.
All right, thank you. That's a great tip. Do you have anything to add, Leif?
I think I'm just thinking that to me it's more like the tool of gaming, which I'm occupied with, this how we keep people interested and engaged in learning, because it's like it's difficult to actually keep people's attention, because attention spans is all on drifting the company and doing day-to-day tasks. So it's such a struggle for learning to actually become relevant in people's everyday work life. So to me, games is just a way of maybe nicking a little more time, taking a little bit of their time into doing something which is fairly heavy to do, understanding theories, reflecting on theories, discussing with colleagues. All of those elements are something that you rarely do unless you have someone who is forcing you to do it. And if you can do that in a fun way, people are likely to get more out of it than if you just present them a PowerPoint. And we all know what happens after the 2 minutes on the PowerPoint. So it is just, and that's what on my mind. So I would always say I cannot imagine any situation without a game inside. I think everybody should add game in everywhere and be more playful in learning instead of taking it so seriously. So Frank, thank you for doing that actually.
Yeah.
So, I can't do any other way. So
yeah.
I'm not the guy to present PowerPoint slides and just give people theories just for the sake of theories. I think I love theories, but they need to have a purpose and they need to be applied.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
That's the trick here. The trick is basically to keep people engaged. That would be my advice. So do it playfully, and it's not like being serious doesn't mean people learn more. It's actually contradictory. Being serious means they learn less. But they answer more mails. So if you want to get them together and pay a lot of money and have them answering mails, go ahead. But it won't make them leave with anything. So
maybe you should add a joke in the end of your mails, just to lighten up that day.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, thank you guys. Just before we close completely, I want to make our audience aware that we are, of course, doing this every week. And next week, we're actually doing the New Leader, which is a game very much like the game we've played today, but a little bit different with a twist. So join us next week to experience that as well. I know that Frank has played that game a lot. You are quite used to that game.
I won't be there next week.
No, not even as you won't be able to join in as a little guest, like
You
just
have
a viewer.
Next week I'm with where Leif is actually.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, then you guys will enjoy that and miss out on an awesome event that
Thank
we will
you.
do without you.
Thanks for inviting me once again.
Thank you so much for participating, and have a great afternoon and evening when you get that far. So I think that was the end. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Leif, for bringing your energy and your expertise as well. Frank, congratulations on your win. I don't think anybody was surprised.
Okay.
I was.
All right.
Okay.
See you guys. Thank you so much
See
for
you.
partaking.
Thank you. Bye.